Why hello there, friends and enemies alike. Shams Nelson here from Fantastic Anatomy, and this is the first episode in the series I'm calling Practical Perspective. Where I'll bring you all the fun stuff I learned studying perspective, and I call it Practical Perspective because I've really broken it down into, instead of doing perspective drawing from a very scientific kind of sense, each module is going to be a different set of objects or items. So the first thing will be small household items and large ones. And then I think buildings, landscapes, weapons, people. Like each little video or module will have its own theme. And so this is number 0 here because I thought, well, before I even got started doing practical perspective or learning to draw things, there was the drawing of shapes, which is the first thing you got to get used to. And I'm not going to approach this in the same way that a lot of people do or a lot of videos I've seen, because there's a lot of great videos on that already where it tells you 1, 2, 3 point perspective. I'll go through that super briefly and just to show you my own little take on it. But basically, I'll show you my method of how I've kind of started to practice my perspective and what's helped me. So the first thing is I'll go through the 1, 2, and 3 points perspective. But if you're not already familiar with this, then you're gonna want to study it on your own. So and then probably come back to this video and check out what I'm saying. So 1 point perspective is when some object is facing directly at you, like flat, like my hand's flat. It's not like this or this. It's just flat in your face. Then all the other lines are going to go towards a vanishing point. So you can see how they're all kind of going towards a vanishing point somewhere on a horizon line that I never draw. That's one of the main things that's different from my method than other methods you'll see is I never draw the horizon line. I just kind of imagine it or make the lines kind of come together so that you can, okay, so there. That's 1 point perspective. All right, then we're gonna go 2 point perspective, and that is the main one you'll see in most things. So that's when something is like, well, I'll just show you. So usually with that, I'll draw the first line, which is the line closest to you, and then all these are going to, and I'll draw one side, and see these two are like going to some vanishing point there, and then I'll draw the other side, going to some vanishing point on there, and then these guys, oops, I should have done a little more above to show, but this one should be going to the same vanishing point, and this one should be going to the same vanishing point, like that. You know, they're converging pretty far. But anyways, so that's 2 point perspective, and that's the one you're going to be using most often. Now 3 point perspective, first off, and that's not super oftenly used, but let's go ahead and do another 2 point, and then I'll show you I like to use 3 point in a way where it's like not necessarily the proper way to do it, but it's kind of like a stylistic choice. So here's a 2 point perspective box, and then let's just come in here with another color, and to make it 3 point, we're going to converge these lines down to a point down here. So you can see how these guys are all coming together down here. And I'm using this formatted drawing on a piece of paper mostly because my Cintiq tablet got messed up, and I thought I'd try this out. So I don't know if it's going to work out very well, but you guys let me know if it sucks, and I'll try not to do more videos like this or figure out a better way to do it. I tried like mounting it over my head, the camera, and so I really like this. Oh, this is 3 point. All right, I really like this kind of thing because I don't know, it just feels the most dynamic out of the three. So that's the kind of what I kind of lean towards, and so yeah. So, but that's, I guess, a choice that I make. I mean, this is more accurate probably for if you're looking at a regular box. Okay, so there are basically 2 exercises that I did like pages and pages of, and it really started to help me get a feel for this. So the first one is just drawing shapes. So let's go ahead and do that. I might even choose another color. So drawing shapes in all sorts of perspectives. So mostly 2 points. So I'm not going to do 1 point because that's kind of boring. So actually, let's curve that line. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to do that. All right, so then I'm actually also going to draw through. So now I see this one's too big. So let's cut that back a little bit. Like All right, cool. And then, actually, no, let me do a lighter color because I'm going to come back here for part 2. So the first thing is just drawing lots of shapes. I'm finding it hard to concentrate while talking. And the square is really the king of shapes, because you'll see what I mean in a second. There are also, like they say, there's the square, the cylinder, you know, so go ahead and draw some cylinders too, you know, draw them in different, like more foreshortened and stuff like that. Right, what else? There's, people say the cone, but the cone's just like, let's say you take a cylinder and you find the middle point and you just go like that. That right in there is the cone. And so that's what I'm saying, or that's what I was going to say about modifying the shapes. I'm like, anyways, so just keep drawing all sorts of shapes. So, and always thinking, like, think a lot while you're doing it. So this one, I'm like, okay, these two are vanishing somewhere up there. These two are vanishing up there. So I'm going to want this one to continue with this vanishing point, come down here, like that. This one's going to continue to where these vanishing points are going. So I'm just kind of building it in my mind, and it just really helped me get like a feel for how to draw these kind of objects. And then I'll say, okay, well, what if, okay. And I'm like, oh, well, see, now I've made that crooked, so this should actually have been different. Wow, these shapes are not coming out very well for me right now. I swear, usually they're better. But anyways, it's not really the point. The point is that this is the kind of method that I was using. Okay, so you just draw a lot of shapes, and I'll show you how you can make a cylinder out of a square real quick. So this is the next step, is kind of like modifying the shape. So let's say you draw this shape right here, right? You got made this guy, and then you can say, all right, so let me make this into a cylinder. You're gonna take the, oh, and then the next thing you want to do is divide these into, you know, divide them up so you can find the center. So the way you do that is you find the center of each of these two lines and connect them. Center between these two lines and connect them. Same here, connect them. And it'll give you this in perspective, and you'll start to get a feel for it. And then you can even divide it more like this. Divide those two in half, divide those two in half, and then you'll see how you can use this to construct stuff later. So here we're doing the same thing. I'm going to divide it in half, but I'm just going to put a dot right here, like that, and then you just make a circle connecting these, and that'll give you that circle in perspective, which I think is a much better way of doing it than if you just do it by sight, because there are very subtle variations in this circle that are important to consider. And this really takes, I think, the reason I'm not doing these shapes, like this one's off. And the thing is just noticing that, like, oh, this is off at this angle, that's wrong. So then I must have done something wrong here. You know, noticing those things is what really helped me to start to get a feel for how things look in perspective. Oh, hold on, my wife's calling me. Apparently something's okay, up. So I drew some more shapes, and then I was recording a video, but apparently I wasn't recording the video, so, oh man, pretty annoying. But, alright, I'll just go over what I was saying again. So basically I was talking about how I always draw squares. Like when you're first starting out, it's good to, oh, one thing I said is that it's a lot easier. I wasn't drawing very good shapes before because I wasn't using my whole arm to get the line right, because I'm holding this camera and it kind of constricts my movement. I'm sure the camera's shaking now because I'm using my whole body to get these lines, and it makes it, you know, I'm able to draw better. So that's one tip that'll definitely help. And okay, why the square? So I drew this like triangle thing here, and I was saying how you can get any shape out of the square. So let's go ahead and make this square into one of these triangles. All you've got to do is find the middle point here like that on the two sides, and then take the corners and just attach them, you know, like that. You have to draw through. That's one of the main things that's very helpful. Is so okay, now I know there's the corner there, and the corner there is the plane, but we can't see it because it's pretty much right underneath there. So there, and you can go ahead and make like any shape out of that. So let's go ahead and make this into a cylinder. So you find the 4 middle points on both sides, and then you draw the circle. You connect them. Like that. Okay. And then it's a connect the dots kind of thing. So that's going to connect to the top, but these two are going to connect from the side. So you'll find that, okay, this is the plane right here that's going to connect. These are the two. But it's nice to okay, sometimes I'll make an X like this. And then basically you just want to play with the shape. So I make the same X on this one. And now I've gotten, okay, what if I connect the middle ones? And now I can have like a cutout, a V-shaped cutout. I don't know if that translates. But mostly it's about figuring it out in your mind. Okay, that's how I would make a V-shaped cutout if I just erase the top lines of these, something like that. And then I was telling you can cut out shapes. So here I tried to cut out some squares. Try to cut out the corners of these boxes. So you do that something like this. Oops. And the thing is, while I'm doing this, I'm always like, oh, that's off. Oh, that's not right. That's not quite the middle. And the reason I've gotten that feeling, I didn't have that before I started doing pages and pages of these shapes. Because once you do pages and pages of the shapes, then you start to get a better feel for them. And you're like, oh, okay, this is right, this is wrong. So there I kind of cut out that square. So let's shade that if the lighting's coming from here. Just to kind of show okay. Boom. Then I've cut out a square. Now let's add some stuff to that. So let's add a triangle coming from this back. Okay, I'm gonna follow these two lines of these parallels kind of converging. So this would converge to, and okay, that's all there is gonna be for that. But I try to draw through just so that I get a better feel, because I'm really doing this for my own mind, not for a finished product. So here on this side, let's do one too. So continue these out like that. And then this one's gonna converge with these two lines, and then I'll just connect them like that. Okay, and so that's the kind of thing. Here I did a cylinder, so let's try to do one coming out. Oh, I rarely do one on its side. I always do them sticking up, so let's try that. That'll be a challenge. So coming out like this. Okay, first we need to extend this to make a square. Oops, sorry. So I'm extending these out, making a square like this. And we'll do the same thing we did before. I'm going to do this quick because I just want to give you guys the idea of how to do it and not make this video ridiculously long. And then I connect them like that. I'll use a different color to after I do the construction lines. Something like this to do the thing. Alright, and then sometimes I'll outline just kind of and I can clean it up with a different color. That's why I just, okay, cleaning it up, and getting a feel for how to construct all these different types of shapes and from different perspectives and stuff like that. Another exercise to do, this is one I find the hardest actually, I call it stacking books. So I'll draw one book, just like a flat. And now I'm like, all right, let's put another book underneath it at a different angle. Okay, let's do it like that. And then you can kind of feel immediately if you're on or if you're off with the stacking. All right, now let's do another book. So I'm already looking really far down at them. So you can just kind of try to get the books stacking as much as possible. This one looks like it's leaning a little bit too far back. It would probably be a little forward, where this one's leaning, these aren't stacked perfectly on top of each other. These ones look a little better, but these are all these exercises, and just fill pages and pages of different shapes, just going through. Here, I'll show you a couple, okay, here are some shapes I did. Here's some more book stacking, just constructing whatever, drawing tissue boxes. So it's okay, and then here these shapes, these guys I so you can see I make the box first, and then I cut out that shape, and looking at shapes in real life and trying to figure out oh, what are they cut out of, or what is a simple straight shape that's constructed out of it. Here I kind of Okay, what if it's on an inclined plane, putting just like stacking shapes on top of each other? What is a hamburger shape like? You know, and just kind of doing that sort of thing. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful. And then here's a more complex shape I made. You can make like, it'll look like a spaceship if you do it kind of symmetrically and stuff. So that's kind of fun. Also, like, how are they sitting next to each other? You know, like trying to make things where they're overlapping. I did that here a little bit, make overlapping shapes, try to keep them all on the same surface, and basically just playing with shapes. And it's kind of like very low pressure, just kind of do it, fill up pages, and you'll mess up at first and you'll slowly get better. And I like this method because I feel like it's more intuitive rather than drawing the horizon line and using like rulers and trying to like mentally like what's the word, like theoretically understand it. Like, that's important to get the basic theoretical understanding, but I feel like when you're drawing, you just want to be like, okay, I can do this in this perspective, like, oh, that's how it feels, right? You know, just kind of have it be more intuitive. So I hope this helped. This was practical perspective 0. The next episode, I'm going to be taking some small objects, household objects, and breaking them down into their shapes and then building them up from that, drawing them in different perspectives, and we'll move on to different types of objects, or even landscapes, buildings, weapons, all this stuff. All right, cool. So that's it. Peace, God bless, and stay fantastic, everyone.